Hi, everyone. This is Tammy with VA to VA, and we're so glad to have you with us today. I'm Tammy with Tammy's Office Solutions, and I have Nanette, my team member, with us. Lisa couldn't be here today, technical difficulties, and we have our guest. But Nanette, introduce yourself, and we'll introduce Craig.
Hi, I'm Nanette Telemack. I am with, in essence, virtual assistants out of Newbury, New Hampshire. I'm a generalist, so I offer services across the board in terms of marketing, sales, and web design.
Great, thanks, Nanette. And we have Craig Cannings of VAClassroom, who I'm very excited to have with us today. And he's going to share some things with us about our platform on education, virtual education. So we're very excited to have him. Hi, Craig.
Hey, how are you, Tammy? Hi, Nanette.
Hi. Very good. Thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Looking forward to it.
Great. So we have a few things we're going to discuss. Of course, we all need, or we not all know by now, virtual education as a platform. It's been around for some time, but it certainly is growing and making leaps and bounds in many industries. And Nanette's going to talk a little bit about virtual services or virtual assistants and some of the things that are happening in that world. So Nanette, if you'll help us with that.
Sure. Well, as we all know, it seems to have grown since the starting of, I guess, the early 1990s, and where it was an ability to offer administrative help to companies virtually. But it seems to have expanded to so much more now, and there's a wide range of needs that small companies have. I mean, as we all know, the economy has changed, and there's a lot of companies that are having a hard time hiring full-time. So that seems to have built a need of a virtual assistant. But with that said, the skills and expertise that demand has grown. So virtual assistants, they need to be have strong skills in marketing, sales, technology. They need to be able to educate themselves to stay on top of the market, because as we all know, the internet's constantly changing. And if you want to be able to provide the best services, you need to make sure that you're constantly educating yourself. And the challenges are even higher for a multi-VA company. You have so many subcontractors, so as you're hiring people with expertise that you don't have or don't have the time to do, it's important that you're hiring subcontractors who really know what they're doing, because it impacts your company and your clients if you don't. So the need for constant training is really strong at this point. I know for myself, and I know probably for you, Tammy, as well. And so we're discussing today what's available out there to keep yourself up to speed, as well as your subcontractors, or if you're just a virtual assistant on your own. And also, there's another aspect too. If you are interested in helping your clients and want to provide training, or what we call, how-to series on certain specifics like email marketing or something like that, how do you get started in that? I mean, that's a very good way of we've talked about this in the past in marketing, offering teaching courses or how-to videos that people can go to learn specific things. And that's something that could help build your expertise with your client base. So that's another aspect of training, and how do you implement that? So we're going to discuss all those things, but first and foremost is how do you make sure that you're up to speed, your subcontractors are up to speed, so that you can provide the best services to your clients.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nanette. Yes,
You're welcome.
and I agree. And it's funny that you talk about the how-to videos, because I just started myself with Tammy's Office Solutions. Quick little how-to tips. I mean, they're under 2 minutes, and just things to try and help business owners as they run their virtual business, or they run their businesses in general. So hard to, you need to make sure that they you know, this is a good way when we talked about marketing and that, like you said, it's a good way to get new clients even and attract new clients for virtual assistants as well, you know, to be able to do that. We have to stay on top of the field, and certainly video is one of the ways that we can do that. And the other thing that we wanted to talk about in general was just we wanted to talk about the industry itself in the virtual education field and how that's grown. And I'm sure you know, Craig, as well, because it's grown so much just since you've been a part of it. But a few of the ways, of course, I didn't even realize this, but now it's also education is offered as augmented reality as well. So where they're actually, you know, put on the and they can really see things, touch, you know, and everything else. So it's pretty amazing. But in the research that I did, some of the fields and industries that are using the virtual education field are education, of course, healthcare, air and space, which I was surprised, marketing, journalism, travel, real estate, skilled trades, as well as automotive and retail. And I've even seen photography, graphic design, of course, virtual assistants, and many others, you know, listed as well as the field grows. And so it's an exciting field, and I know some of you who are watching even want to partake in that and teach others the skills that you have. So you want to teach other virtual assistants maybe, or others in the industry how to do certain specific things that you've become an expert at. And so we want to help you today in that and some of the best ways to get started. And so saying that, I want to introduce you again to Craig Cannings of VAClassroom. And Craig, I've known Craig for a little while now and taken his courses even, which are always wonderful. I always enjoy him, especially live, but enjoy his classes either way. And brings a lot to the industry and offers a lot of things. And so we're very excited to have him with us. And Craig, if you would introduce yourself a little bit to our audience and what you do, and then we'll get started with some questions if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah. So I started, I think going way back when, back in 2008, we launched VAClassroom.com, which is, I think today it's become basically the premier training center for virtual assistants around the world. We have had 10,000 students in 40 countries, representing 40 countries, and so we've had a good audience. And what we've seen, and interesting, and kind of echoing what you're already saying, is that there's been a real growth spike in the need for outsourcing to virtual assistants, for outsourced project work, probably in the last 3 years. We were probably even a bit before the curve. You know, when we would talk to people about what a virtual assistant is back in 2008, there was a lot of education that needed to happen. People didn't really get it. Now I'm out, literally, I think I was sharing this with maybe not with you, Tammy, with somebody else, where I was at a swim meet. My kids are in competitive swimming, and someone, you know, you strike up a conversation and they ask you what you do, and I told them a bit of what I do, and they're like, oh yeah, I need a VA to do XYZ in my business. And I'm like, it wasn't even like there was no education, there was just like they kind of got it. And as that has happened, I think we've seen such a trend as people see the benefits to hiring. So we've benefited as an education company because there's more virtual assistants, as you say, that want to get their skills sharp, that want to be competitive, that want to offer the services that clients need today, not yesterday or not 5 years ago. And so that's basically what we've done for the last 8 years is identify the trends in the industry in order to create, you know, kind of industry-leading courses that will help our VAs increase their income opportunities, open up new service opportunities for them, increase their client opportunities, all of that as the industry grows. And so yeah, I have a background. I've been on the internet since 2002. I worked with an e-learning company. I think we started actually in 2003. My brother-in-law had an e-learning company. I jumped on board, loved the whole idea of online education, really took to it, loved the idea of teaching online and webinars and now live streaming events like this, and that kind of led to us launching VAClassroom. And the last thing I would say is when we had this company with my brother-in-law, there was about 3 or 4 of us that started the company, or it was his company, but we all worked for him. And anyways, we ended up, I think we were about 40 people when I left. So we had increased our size to 40 people, and all of them were outsourced professionals. So there was no office, it was all virtual. And we didn't even use the term virtual assistant back there, but we had a lot of assistants doing marketing work, customer service work, all sorts of things. Really, it was a team of virtual assistants, and that really inspired us to thinking, if we could create such a great team that's virtual, that's global, that's all over the place, and we worked so well as a company, what would it look like for us to train other VAs to be able to do this kind of work? And that kind of inspired us to launch VA Classroom, which, you know, since then has taken off quite a bit. So that's a bit of my story. And personally, I have I started the business with my wife, Kelly. We have 5 daughters. You know, I have a little man cave, but mostly it's very female. You know, I work in a female-oriented industry. I live in a female-oriented house, and so it all works out. And I have all sisters. So,
oh wow,
you know, so it's just how it all played out. And it's
God
all
was
good.
preparing you ahead of time. I said God was preparing you ahead of time.
Exactly. So good to be here.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I know even last night you had a live event that you were unrolling some things, and I was surprised at some of the things that I didn't know about you. So it was interesting to learn some of your background and yours and Kelly's background. And I'm always amazed when I talk to another VA, because I do that quite frequently, and they haven't heard of you, because most people have in our industry.
Right.
So so it's really neat to have you here today, and we really appreciate your time. So some of the other things that we want to talk about too is how did you begin implementing this training? Like, what was the first step? And I know it's changed since then. So what would be somebody's first step if they wanted to train others or even their team? What would you say to them?
Well, I think the first step is you have to figure out what, you know, I know this goes down to really the basics, but that's where you need to begin. And that's where I always begin when I create a new program or I'm doing a tutorial or course. You have to obviously select the niches that you want to train in. And so if you are a VA that specializes in Infusionsoft or WordPress or internet marketing or social media, what particular, you know, focus are you going to have? And so I think the key thing that I've always tried to do it myself, and is A, am I experienced enough? Do I have enough knowledge to be able to deliver a great course? And B, am I also interested in it? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to go through this process of creating all these tutorials in a niche that you're not really interested in. Maybe there's opportunity there, and so your passion and your presence is going to be that much more positive if you actually like the material and you actually like what you're teaching. And so I think the first step is just figuring out what is the focus of my tutorials, or, you know, what type of education am I going to do? Am I excited about it? Is it something that I have some knowledge in? And I think the other thing I want to kind of dispel the myth, you don't have to be an expert to start creating educational videos in your respective niche. You literally just have to know a bit more than your client does. And I can tell you, knowing a lot of virtual assistants, is they know a whole heck of a lot more than their clients. They won't position themselves as, I'm an expert in social media or I'm an expert in web design, but really their skills are so far advanced beyond all the clients that they work with. So to come up with some educational videos teaching clients some 101 or some simple steps on getting started with this, you know, designing a graphic or setting up a WordPress site or creating a blog post, whatever it might be, is a good fit for them because they have the skills. Their knowledge is a bit higher, obviously, than their clients. And so I think that's the first step, is figuring out what would you love to teach. And if you find out something that you're passionate about, a topic that you're excited about, and obviously it fits with the market you're trying to reach, like this is educational videos that's going to lend itself well to generating new client leads for you or opening new doors for you, then that's important. So you want to figure out, obviously, the area. So that I could go on, but that's probably where I would start and go from there.
How long did it take you? I'm sorry, Nanette. I just wanted to ask too, while we're still on the beginning part, how long did it actually take you, Craig, from the time that you, did you stay at the e-learning and do this, or how long did it take you from that time that you left to really creating and beginning the business and the online learning for VAs?
Yeah, so it was interesting. I launched my first course in May of 2008, and it took me 8 months to create that first course. Now, I'm going to tell you, it does not take 8 months to create a course. I mean, it depends on the size and how big the course was. But I created this 10 modular program with many videos and tutorials, and it was called the Internet Marketing Virtual Assistant Program. That was the very first course that we launched. And it took me 8 months, primarily because I was just figuring out how to teach this stuff. I was figuring out the technology on how to teach it. I was going through that paralysis by analysis. You know, I was over analyzing my videos, and I was redoing them. And so that was the old model. The new model is typically I will now do a lot of live training. I then repurpose the live training into a structured course after that. And so my lead time in terms of creating courses went from like 8 months to now within 4 weeks I could have a full course developed. But that was also over a few years of refining how I design a course and how I set it up. And so the first years I was working with the other company. I had a few other income streams, but it took me a long time to kind of get going. But once we hit that first course and I figured out how to teach what I was teaching, and I realized some other ways I could do it, I started to scale pretty quickly and started to add a lot of courses. So
Great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nanette. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, I was just listening to what he said about your knowledge base and what you can do. I mean, I would also say that, you know, if you're hearing a lot from your clients about, you know, basic 101 type thing on a specific software or how to get started on something. I mean, you can just start with that, you know, just that small segment of the 101, the ABCs of how to do whatever, and that could be enough, because as you say, you know, if you do it all the time, and somebody's constantly asking how do I do that? I mean, that could be a little small segment, you know, training segment.
It is, and you know what, for me and a lot of VAs, and I don't want to do a sweeping generalization because you're probably doing it, but a lot of VAs have never gone down the road of providing a lot of tutorial-based education for their clients. If I was to visit 20 sites today, I'd probably see virtually no one probably has this sort of education. Some might have a blog, some might be using social media, but it is a great credibility booster. If I was coming and I was wanting to work with a new VA and I came and I saw this quick library of short, quick tutorial videos, it just substantiates what you offer, because you start to listen and you're like, wow, this person seems to know a lot about Infusionsoft or about whatever. Now your credibility is boosted, and I don't have to, that kind of answers that question of, does this person know what they're talking about, because I've already started to look at these videos. The other thing is, I mean, it could be used as a lead generator, so people could find your YouTube video or find your video on social media or even on your own website. But it also could be used as a library of training resources for your clients. Maybe tutorials on how they can work best with you, you know, basic stuff, but also tutorials on little software that you use. Or let's say the two of you are going to get together and you're using Trello as your project management software that's going to manage your relationship and your project. Well, you have a tutorial there that kind of guides the client through the first steps to working together in Trello or in Google Apps or in whatever other platform you use to manage the client relationship. So I think tutorial education is huge. And it was interesting, we did a survey at the beginning of the year. I don't know if I told you this, Tammy, and we asked the question, what is your favorite way to learn? And again, my audience is virtual assistants, so I'm not necessarily targeting the clients with this survey, but the one that scored the best was, the two that were the highest was tutorials. So online tutorials, and the second one was videos, short videos. So they kind of go hand in hand, but that was scored above and beyond reading blog posts, reading PDFs, even listening to podcasts, which are great. People like how-to practical videos, and I like them too. And I think the key is we know now we can't create a 28-minute tutorial, and as amazing as we all are, if we are good teachers, and engage someone for 28 minutes. We can create a tutorial under 5 minutes that gives them a little, that they walk away with something new that they can do, something new that they can implement. They don't need to implement 20 things, they just need to know one thing, and that's where you start to build out maybe a library of tutorials that you offer clients.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I think that's awesome. It's a really good idea.
It is.
Did you have a question, Annette?
No, no, I didn't. I agree with that totally. I think it's a great marketing, you know, a marketing tool to offer, and also to give yourself credibility. So it's, you know, and also it's helpful. If you don't have to tell the clients over and over again how to do something, you just have that little tutorial there. It's kind of helpful.
It is. Yeah, I never thought about it in that way as far as, you know, actually giving it to the client, you know, and making them. But as you're saying that, I'm thinking, how many clients don't want to use project management because they don't know how to do it? They just want to do emails back and forth. And how many don't want to do something else because they've never done it? Or, you know what I mean? And it's just a simple, this is how we do it would be an easy thing to do and save so much time in the end, you know. So that's a great way, a great way to do it.
Just another thought. It was interesting, just going back to that company that I worked for, the e-learning company where we grew to, we had about 40 staff. Interestingly enough, back then, so we're going back to about 2004, the primary way that we had guides and we had checklists and things like that to train new staff, but we would quite often, if someone needed to know how to do something, we would open up Camtasia. Back then I was using Camtasia as my screencast software, and we could talk about technology here shortly, but and I would send them a quick video on how to do this. They're like, I don't know how to use this part of the software for our affiliate program or something we were doing. And I say, well, let me send you a quick 2-minute tutorial. And that's a lot of what got me inspired about, hey, that seems to be one way that people learn. And it can be used either way, like I said, either way to train clients, to generate client leads, or for many of you, it might be to open up a new income stream where you have a membership site where you're creating tutorials, or you create your own courses and you generate it as a additional income stream to your service-based business. So.
Yeah, I think that a lot of us think about that, you know, about creating that additional revenue stream. It's a big buzzword out there today, and all of us don't, you know, many people don't know how to do that, you know, whereas how do you get started in that? Whereas with VAs, as you said, we do know and have a lot of skills in a lot of different things, and so it, you know, that would be something, you know, easy to, I won't say easy, but easy enough transition that we could do that while still running our VA businesses. And but I do also think just doing, excuse me, the quick tutorials are huge to be able to, as you said, build expertise as well as getting, you know, leads and client leads, because they're going to trust you more. They're going to have watched your videos and understand, you know, what exactly you are able to do for them. They're going to have seen all that. So I think it's, I think it's a great possibility for all our VAs out there. What are some, I guess, things and ways that you manage even today, but back then you, I think, had a VA, your wife was running a VA company, correct? Is that correct?
She was, well, she was also part of this e-learning company, actually, and she was managing the whole team of a larger team of VAs and support people back then. So it wasn't her, it was more the team that was a part of our company.
I see. Okay. But so you had to manage all of that while creating the business, and there's probably a lot of people that'll watch this even later and say, well, how do you do that? How do you manage both and still build this other thing where you can finally get rid of the one?
So I guess going back to what you're saying, you know, people do want to create new income streams, but then you've got all this other work that you're doing as well. I think, you know, I mean, this is a simple way to look at it, but it really comes down to baby steps and being well organized. I mean, you have to, if you're going, for anyone of you out there, I mean, there's some VAs in our community, and probably people that you both know as well, that have full-time jobs. So they're working, let's say, in a corporate job, but they're wanting to be a VA. They're wanting to be more flexible. They're wanting to have this different lifestyle. They don't want to commute to work anymore. And so we would have those students, and a lot of them, you know, obviously they would have to block out and schedule their training time with us because they're trying to learn the ropes on how they can be a VA, and then they've got to block time on building their business. And so I think it's really I think it comes down to having a clear focus and a clear vision. If you want to, let's say, leave the work that you're in and become a VA, then you have to set some goals for yourself and determine, what time of the week am I going to spend investing in this business? And that's what Kelly and I did. I mean, when we were working on this company and we were dreaming about setting up VA Classroom, we had to block some time. And the reality is all of you know, we're all entrepreneurs on this call. The entrepreneurial road is not easy. It requires you to roll up your sleeves. It requires you to work hard. If you believe and you're passionate about what you do and you want to do this, you have to block out the time. There has to be a level of hustle. As you could say, well, I really want to set up a new income stream, or I really want to be a VA, but I just don't have time. We can all say that. I mean, we're all busy people, but if you do want to affect a change in your life and you want to do something different, or you want to open up a new stream, you've just got to look at your week and say, what blocks of time can I dedicate towards the development of this new channel or this new business? And a guy that I used to work with, Jeff, some of you know Jeff Walker, who's known as the Product Launch Formula. I designed courses for him and did some work for him. But he always talked about his 50s. And so he would dedicate these blocks of 50 time, which was his intense thinking, his creative time, his focus time. And he would say, the amount of work that I would get done in 50 minutes by blocking out all my Skype and my mobile devices and everything and just focusing in on a certain project or certain task was intense, just having this intense focus. And if you're starting something new, you have to block out, whether you call them your 50s or whatever you call them, you need to dedicate that time, because it's going to take, obviously, some work.
Absolutely. Nanette knows about that. She's working full-time while doing her VA business, so she certainly understands it, don't you, Nanette?
Yes.
I do. And you're right. I do have to block out. I have a very tight managed schedule. And I have to if I want this to work. So there is a sense of hustling, and I utilize every moment I have in between working a full-time job, and that's the way I have to do it right now to get where I want to go. So
awesome.
Absolutely, yes. Nanette, did you have a question you wanted to ask?
Well, I was just curious about how. It's always trial and error, like you say, when you're building something. There's this classroom setting that you have. So what did you find to be challenging in terms of technology-wise? Because my background is always been in the internet world, and I started way back in the 90s when it was video overlay in a computer, and you put a board in it, and that's how you got classroom settings and things like that.
Oh my!
Well, and it moved now to today, which is what we have going on right here. So what are the challenges that you found when you were trying to build this classroom in terms of the technologies and the things that you needed to get this to work?
Oh, yeah, every challenge. I think when we started it, because we started building the platform in late 2006, and then we didn't actually launch until 2008. And at that time, there wasn't. So now you've got all sorts of WordPress themes. You've got WordPress plugins. You've got simple applications to create learning modules and learning tutorials. There's lots of options now. We can talk about those. But back then, there wasn't as many. And so we ended up actually designing our whole learning management platform, a custom platform that we're since moving away from. So back then, there wasn't as many options. Today, I would say, as technology has got more sophisticated, an interesting thing has happened is that it's actually got simpler to use. So these tools out there, these applications that are seemingly more sophisticated, they're actually more user-friendly. And so now there's some great platforms for creating tutorials. And I'm a Mac user. Some of you might use Mac. And so I live and die with my ScreenFlow. So ScreenFlow is just Screen Flow. It's only available on the Mac. It's under $100. But I screencast everything through that. I mean, any tutorial I create, I'm using ScreenFlow to basically record my screen, make the edits, add little animations or whatever I want to do, add images, and I can now create tutorials very quickly because of the simplicity of ScreenFlow, which is an easy tool to use. The other one, people for creating tutorials, if you're in PC world, is Camtasia. Camtasia is a bit more expensive. I think it's around $300, but it's a one-time buy, and once you have it, you can create endless amounts of tutorials that you can upload to your website. You can syndicate to YouTube, all sorts of different places. So I would say the learning curve and the speed of delivery in terms of doing all these tutorials has changed radically from when I started. There's so many other opportunities. There's also simple course management platforms. If you're actually wanting to create a course, now there's really easy sort of plug and play platforms where you can set up your courses or your modules in a very nice looking sort of platform that wasn't available when I first started. So lots has changed. I think it's easier now. I think also, a lot of people when they're creating video tutorials, the concern is, well, I don't want to be on video. And I know a lot of our VAs, I tend, when I've sold video creation courses, they tend to have not done as well in VAClassroom because a lot of our students self-profess that I don't want to be on video. I don't want to be in front of video. I don't feel like I look good on video, which is not true. It's just we're so hard on ourselves at times in terms of our self-perception is not always accurate. And so the cool thing now is you don't have to. You can use these tools like ScreenFlow and Camtasia. You don't have to go on video. You can create a nice tutorial. You just need a good piece of audio equipment so your audio is clear and is good, and just record your screen. Record a short presentation or a short how-to tutorial, and you don't have to put yourself out there in front of the camera. As much as I would encourage you to test that as well. So it's easier. It's easier than ever to try to do this now.
Yes, I agree. I think there's so many more things available to us than there used to be as far as creating. And of course, we're using Hangouts on Air through G Plus or Google Plus, and it'll automatically post to YouTube for us. There's a few things we still have to do with it, but it does post automatically if we want it to. And that's wonderful for something like this. And it does have a screen share option, but everybody knows that Hangouts on Air can be a little temperamental at times. We've had to actually change at the last minute to different links and all kinds of things in the past. So we've had our times with it and times when we went to share a screen and it wouldn't. So we've definitely had our moments with it. But I know that one of the platforms that you use now also is Zoom. Is that correct?
Yeah, Zoom has been an amazing tool that we've used. We use GoToWebinar for years to run webinars, which you can stream video and you can have, obviously your webcam going, but also the presentation. What we like about Zoom is that I feel it's a bit easier to use than GoToWebinar. The video quality that comes out, so when it produces a recording of the video, just seems to be at a higher level. I like the quality's better, and it's even more affordable than GoToWebinar. So I think we pay for 100 seats. I think 100 seats we pay somewhere around the $50 mark, just over $50 a month. Oh, wow. Whereas the starting at GoToWebinar was usually around $99. It was a little bit more closer to $100. So it's affordable. We also have used GoToHangouts. I'm combining two technologies. Google Hangouts, and we've also had those issues where sometimes it's gone really well. And I remember it was funny. I was doing a virtual event course on how to set up and manage virtual events, webinars, and things like that. And I brought this expert on. I won't mention his name, but I brought this expert on. He was like a real Google Hangout guru, and he basically, had built his business around teaching people how to use Google and Google Plus and Google Hangouts, and I remember I totally botched the Hangout. Like it was just, it was the wrong link, and I went back and forth, and I could visibly see how irritated he was as we went through here. He's like, what a rookie this guy is on Google Hangouts when he was this guy that apparently every Hangout always worked for him, just didn't work for us that day. So yeah, Hangouts are temperamental. Facebook Live, as some of you are dabbling with, is also a bit temperamental. Especially if you're running it through your mobile device, you never know how your internet connection or your network is doing, and so live streaming, even through tools like Periscope, they're great, but they do have their issues. That's where when you're wanting to polish something and make it really good, that's when you go to something like a screencast tutorial, like through Camtasia or ScreenFlow, where you create it, edit it, and publish it before anybody else sees it. So.
Right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for those things. And we're getting ready. The VA to VA group is actually getting ready to do a few things coming up soon. And so we're excited that you could be on with us and an expert in this because it might help us a little bit in the future as well. But what are some, I guess, what are some things that you come up against? Have you had VAs who say, you know, I don't need this and that kind of thing? I know one of the things that Annette and I were talking before you came on about how it's wonderful that through your teaching, you actually can receive certifications. And that's, to me, a huge thing. I think it's a big plus when somebody sees a certification on your site and other things. But there's a lot of VAs who don't think they need those things or anything. You know, they think they already have enough. So what would you say to somebody like that?
Well, I mean, there are people that choose to be self-taught, right? So they like to read blog posts, they listen to podcasts, they watch videos, and they just kind of they teach themselves, you know, which is a pathway to go. I think what we did at VA Classroom was we just kind of simplified the process of you learning what your clients need you to know, and you know, obviously doing it in a practical step by step. So basically saying, hey, you don't have to go to blog posts over here and read a podcast over here. We'll take you through exactly what you need to know to offer social media services, or we'll take you exactly what you need to know to be able to understand internet marketing or Infusionsoft or WordPress or you know, writing courses. So we've kind of consolidated it, and we did create certifications because the main thing that we found is that, yes, people like to receive a certification, maybe intrinsically, there's something about that, but also it's a way to showcase your badge on your website. So, so your clients or the people visiting your website see evidence of your professional development, that you've taken marketing, you've taken Infusionsoft, you've taken courses that are really current and your skills are up to date. That's what it demonstrates for me. You know, the certificate only carries weight if you've actually learned the skills and feel like you can apply it. You know, and that's why we never, you know, that's why we let them know there's a certificate of completion, but you can put this on your website, you can display it, but make sure that you actually, you know, master the material, went through it and understand it, so that it actually means something. As opposed to just a badge. So again, I think there's all types of learners. We have found that people like, you know, they like to set up a step. They like to watch sort of step-by-step videos and kind of say, give me exactly how I can do this for client A or client B, and that becomes a much simpler and even quicker process than trying to figure out. They got to Google these blog posts and they're trying to find a tutorial on this on YouTube, and pretty soon they've spent way more time, and now they don't feel like they're any further ahead. And I think we've helped our students get further ahead and feel more confident to offer services to their clients in a whole variety of different domains.
Well, I can certainly attest to that because I have taken several of your courses, and I can definitely attest to that you do feel more trained and you feel more qualified. And there are times that I want to say, wait a minute, stop even. Can you give me a little tutorial just on that? And the wonderful thing about yours, though, Craig, I do have to say, and I'm just giving you a big plug here, but is that often, even though you might go through the whole process, and usually within 3-4 weeks you can be trained, generally speaking. When you're doing the certification, I think it's usually the longest is 6 weeks, maybe. I can't remember. Yep. But anyway, within all of that, sometimes there's these little nuggets that we don't quite get. But you always put on your platform other ways to up our skill with those nuggets as well. So you always give us the additional materials if there is something that we don't quite grasp, or we just want some more information on it. And so I always appreciate that you do that for us, because you know, you can walk away from a learning experience and still have more questions. And so I think you definitely, in your platform anyway, and the way that you approach it is really great, because you do give us that extra in there. And I've taken other classes, you know, definitely, and not walked away with that, or feeling like I could still go back and watch and learn, and you know, that kind of a thing. So I really appreciate that. Now I know we still have quite a bit of time, so is there anything that you want to share with everybody of what's coming up and what that's going to look like for you, or what's coming in the future, maybe classes or whatever else you want to share with us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, first of all, I feel, again, I would encourage all of you, if you're looking at just, to close the loop on the conversation around creating your own tutorials, I'd highly encourage you to do it. Again, you have to focus on why am I going to do it? What's my purpose? But, you've got the option of using it to try to build your credibility and generate leads. You can use it to support your existing clients through a course library or a tutorial library. Or you can use it to actually create a new income stream. Say, I'm going to create a 101 course on this, and I'm going to sell it for, I'm going to build my list and start to generate an income stream through that. So let me tell you, there is lots of, if you're interested in teaching or doing online education, it's amazing how many opportunities there are now that didn't even exist when I started in 2008.
That's very true.
Give you one example, and then I'll talk a bit about VA Classroom. So on Udemy, some of you may know Udemy.
Yes.
It's just the letter U and then DEMY.com. It's really grown up. It's it's getting millions of hits a month. It's basically an education marketplace. You can go in and grab course A or a course on how to use your DSLR camera, to Photoshop, to leadership. There's all sorts of different courses. And there was one company way back when, this is going back about 3 years, and they developed a short course that they sold for, I think it was $97, and it was an intermediate Excel course. And my first thought when I saw this was like, who's going to spend $97 to, I just thought, Excel seems so old. I know it's, we still use it in our day-to-day, but it seems like I could go grab a tutorial somewhere else or somewhere to find how to use Excel with having to spend $97. Well, if you can believe this, that company, when they launched that course, in the first 12 months, they had $5 million worth of sales off of an intermediate course. Now, obviously, they share a bit of that revenue with Udemy, but I thought to myself, if someone could put up an intermediate Excel course, which seems so old school, I mean, Excel's been around for years, and do that well, that speaks to what opportunities are out there for us educators to draw an audience in. And yes, people can go find YouTube videos and they can teach themselves, but people would much rather spend a few bucks and get the whole system, get it all there, as opposed to trying to piece together all this learning on something that they're passionate about or a topic that they need to know. So I just wanted to leave you with that thought, that there's lots of opportunity and just a lot of great opportunities to generate a revenue stream as a course creator or as an online educator. But with that being said,
I'm glad you discussed that. Yeah, I'm glad that you really discussed that too, because I was thinking of that even as I passed that over to you. I thought, well, we really didn't talk about those platforms exactly like that, and there's a lot of other ones out there as well. But that's kind of a one setup platform where you can just post your courses and things like that as well. Are there other platforms like that, Craig?
Yeah, so the biggest one is Udemy right now. There's another one called Skillshare, just as it sounds, Skillshare.com, that has also technology business type courses you could put up, and then you collect a revenue share as well. But then there's also new platforms. If you're saying, hey, I don't want to necessarily, I want to have the platform on my domain, like I want it to be under my brand. I don't want to be under Udemy, because Udemy kind of, not that they own the rights to it, but you can't really market your business as much. It's a Udemy-based course, right? And so a lot of people are using platforms. You might have heard one called Teachable. It's just Teachable, so teachabl.com. It's a platform that allows you to basically set up courses. You can create. They've got all the tools and the applications. You basically just plug your videos and your handouts and your quizzes and whatever else you have, and you use their platform to kind of, almost in a drag and drop style, build out your own course. And their platform's pretty affordable. Another one that I've been using a little bit is Think. It's just Think, IFIC, so Thinkific. So Think, IFIC. Similar to Teachable, even a little bit more reasonable, but again, it has everything you need to go in and create a course. You don't have to design some WordPress site or anything. You can have your sales pages in there. You can have your course pages in there. You can manage the whole learning back end for your clients, all built in there. And they even integrate with tools like PayPal or e-commerce platforms like PayPal and Stripe, so that you can quickly set up a credit card process or PayPal, so you can start transacting your courses. So again, speaking to what we spoke to earlier, was that it's easier than ever before to fairly quickly set up a course and start selling it online. It's just getting to use some of these different tools that we talked about.
Right. Excellent.
Great,
so yeah,
thank
so
you.
that's
So go ahead on now to VA Classroom for us, please. Sorry to sidetrack.
yeah, no, I want to close happening, as you know, Tammy, at VA Classroom. We're making some major changes and things that, based on what we've heard from our audience and based on what we've been researching on how we can kind of reshape our what we're calling more of our university, our online university now. So we are rolling out here in the next month a brand new online university, 2 virtual assistants that it'll be based on 6 training tracks. And so this is based on the tracks that we believe people need, VAs want training in the most. And so there's internet marketing type courses. There's social media track. There is content development. So this could be creating blog posts, creating PDFs, creating courses, creating articles, all the content development piece. There's the business management and development. So this could be managing projects, managing yourself, managing your own VA systems, marketing your business. That's all under that track. And then there's a virtual event track. So running live stream events like through Google Hangouts, running GoToWebinar, Zoom type webinars. All of that's built into that track. And then the final one is technology. We've created, and we typically didn't have this track because technology ultimately goes into a lot of different other tracks. But we know people want to know how to use Aweber as an e-marketing system, MailChimp, Infusionsoft, ConvertKit, the list goes on and on. The thing that will never end is that new technology is going to emerge, and we need to know how to use it, and we need to know how to support our clients as they use it. So that technology track is going to grow more and more. And so we have a 6-track sort of university that we've now basically are turning it into an all-in-one university. So before, our clients could come in and buy a social media course, or they could buy a project management course. Now we've taken our 30 or 40 best courses and we've put them underneath one hood, and we're offering a kind of an all-in-one sort of university. You can access everything for an annual fee. So it's going to be much more affordable. It's going to give you all the training you need when you need it. You're going to have access to all the courses. Plus, the other thing we changed, Tammy, as you know, is we're now working on a semester system. So we're only opening VA Classroom in September, in January, and May. And so we're going to be opening a new semester with new courses, new certifications, and new workshops every single semester. So not only will the students have access to all our library of courses and certifications, but we're going to be adding, I think the number is 18 new programs every year. So that'll be built into the different semesters. So we're excited about it. It's a new model. It's a complete shift in how we delivered education, but we feel it's way more user-friendly in terms, and it's just a much better platform that we're moving forward with. So all of that is rolling out here in the next few weeks.
Yes, as Craig mentioned, I did know some of this ahead of time. Because I'm honored enough that Craig has asked me to be one of the mentors on his new platform, and I'm very excited for that. So just full disclosure, but I'm very excited for him. I think it's going to be a wonderful platform. I think especially I love the way the certifications are changing as well. For you, explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we used to run our own certifications that would kind of go through our support. When someone finished a course, it was more like they would email support and say, I'm finished. So it was a very manual process. Now, the way it's set up with our major core certification courses, we've partnered with a company called Accredible, just Accredible, and they will manage the certifications on our behalf. And so it will all be automated. So when someone finishes, let's say the social media marketing VA course, they will automatically receive a certificate that they can then showcase on their website. They can tweet out to their peeps in social media. They can do whatever they like. So it's a much more coordinated and automated sort of system on getting your credentials, and it's going to be much easier for us to manage as well.
Very good. I'm excited for you. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for many VAs who haven't been able to maybe purchase one of the systems that you already offer, because I think you do a great job of teaching. So I think it's going to be a wonderful system.
Thank you.
What do you think, Craig, for a new VA or somebody who's just maybe done VA work for even a year or two, but hasn't really looked into the education field and all of that? Where would they start? Where would you recommend they start in your program?
So are you referring to just taking courses or actually becoming an educator themselves? Just so I understand that.
Taking courses, yes, taking courses with you. What would be your recommendation of where they begin?
Yeah, and I think it's a great question, because that's really what I think has improved with our new platform we're rolling out, is that it's based more on tracks. And we have this course that we're just launching, and it's kind of how to discover your niche course. And really it takes people through the process of figuring out the type of service that they feel they'd be most passionate about, that they would be able to quickly develop skills in, and where there is opportunity. In other words, where clients actually need this kind of work done. And so we have this sort of assessment that we're taking people through to help them get into areas that they feel they would actually love to do the work. And so there are people that love social media. They love being on it, and the thought of being able to generate an income offering services to other clients absolutely excites them. Other people don't like it, and so maybe they are writers. They're skilled at writing and editing, and they want to get more into content management, where they manage clients' blogs, or they manage clients, all the content the client delivers. That might be an area of passion. So I really encourage VAs to kind of jump in the area that they feel they would be most interested in, but also where they feel there's opportunity. And I think that's the cool thing about what we've set up at VA Classroom is our training, we don't create training that's out of date. In other words, we're not going to say, pursue this niche, even though there's not a single client in the world. It's like, let's say we're saying, MySpace that used to be on the net. We've got a MySpace VA training program. Well, we don't do that because we know that there's no relevancy there. But we would certainly create a course on how to use Facebook, how to set up Facebook advertising for your client. Every client wants to know how to get more visibility on Facebook now that they're not getting as much visibility in the newsfeed. How do I set up ads? That's the type of course that we would have at VA Classroom. So again, it depends on what your interests are and where you see the opportunity. So I think it's obviously there's some foundational 101 VA 101 courses that they can take, but in terms of where they jump in, it will really depend on what they're interested in and what the type of work they would like to do.
Understood. Nanette, do you have some questions?
Yeah, I do. That all sounds great, and I think it's needed, and I think that's something that's been missing in this industry with people. So that these different tracks, I know people have done it and provided some services, but I like your format because it makes sense, and also it gives us credibility, and also keeps us up to date, so we can best meet our clients. So my question is, did you do surveys with VAs to figure out what was the most important courses? Do you do that on a regular basis? So how do you gather the idea of creating your classes?
Yeah, I mean, early on it was more of a shot in the dark because I didn't have a following way back when, and so I was going on what I did with my company and kind of figuring out what types of skills I think they would need. We're at a much better place now because we've got a fairly large audience, and we do surveys regularly. And so we just use, and I used to use SurveyMonkey for years, and now I just use Google Forms, where I'll set up a quick Google form, and I'll either embed it on my website or I'll just send the link out, and asking in that survey I sent where I asked people what's their favorite way to learn. I think the second question was, what's the burning topic that what's the one skill you think your clients need you to know more of, and develop. And so we get this whole large list, and so then we export that into a spreadsheet, and we keep that list, and that becomes a bit of a guide for future development. When we're coming up with a workshop, and I'm thinking, okay, what would be best? Let's go back to the survey and look at what people are saying, and what seem to be some common trends. There might have been 20 people that said the same thing about one particular topic that they needed. So yeah, surveying is huge. We will do informal surveys in our social media groups, in social media as well, that can give us good information.
That's great.
Well, we're almost out of time now. Any last final comments, Craig, to our audience that you just want to tell us about? Anything else that you feel you want to share with us before we get off?
Sure. Yeah. Some of you may know Marie Forleo. Marie Forleo is she creates entrepreneurship programs primarily for women. Women is her target market, and she's got Marie TV. She's an inspiring lady. But I always liked that she came up with this quote. I don't know. I heard it years ago, and she said, "You need to keep learning in order to keep earning." And I thought, isn't that true in our industry? And I say collectively in this VA industry, if you stopped learning tomorrow and you said, I'm going to just boycott learning and I'm just going to do what I've operated on before, I wonder how long it would take before your business becomes obsolete or before it's irrelevant. The reality is that's why VA Classroom, I think, has been as successful as it has, is because we're in an industry that is constantly in flux. I mean, we have done, how many iterations of Facebook training have we done? Because Facebook, man, the clients can't figure it out, and our VAs are trying to figure out all the changes that are happening at Facebook. And so we constantly are updating and adding technology training and all sorts of things that were different a year ago. There's this tool out, some of you may use, ConvertKit. Some clients are now, it's just convertkit.com. A year ago, I hadn't even heard of this platform. And now it's suddenly become, in my mastermind group, in my group of entrepreneurs I know, they're all jumping to ConvertKit. Well, let me tell you, the VAs that work with them are now they're now asking the VA to know how to use ConvertKit, of which nobody knew really how to use a year ago. So that just gives you, that's one example of many, many that there's new platforms that you need to know, and you can't just offer the same service as you offered 5 years ago because things move way too quickly for that. So again, and that's why I encourage you to come to VA Classroom, because we can help you. We can be that sort of one source where you say, hey, I need to develop my skills, or I'm getting tired of the work I'm doing. Is there another niche I can get into? And maybe I go over to VA Classroom and see what other options might be available for me to freshen up what I offer, or to get me re-inspired about the work that I do. That can all be a part of what we offer at VA Classroom. So keep learning, whether you do it with us or with other platforms. I know that that's been one of my commitments as an entrepreneur, is that I have to read. I've got to be reading books, and I've got to be reading blog posts, and I've got to be attending events and doing things that keep me sharp. Otherwise, I become irrelevant as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I was thinking when you talked about that, discover your niche, I was thinking to myself, wow, I've been to VA for a long time now, over 8 years, but I might even, that sounds very interesting. Maybe I should do that. So you just never know. I've discovered a lot of things, and nothing else. It definitely is a journey for anybody who is in business for themselves. It's a journey. It's always transitioning and changing. And I'm grateful for that, because wouldn't we get bored? But at the same time, we need to learn. We need to be able to up the skills, stay current, as you said. And your platform's one way to do that. And I'm very excited for you guys and the new platform. And we greatly appreciate you taking the time today, because I know you're a very busy man. But tell them where they can find you and find your platform.
Yeah, so definitely come check us out at VAClassroom.com. What you're seeing there will change in the next 4 weeks. We got a new website launching, new education platform. Everything is changing, but it'll still be the same location. So come by and and visit us. If you have any questions, there's a support link everywhere on the site. You can connect with us, and we'd be happy to help you, especially if you even have questions like, I don't know where to get started, or I'd like some more information on different types of niches that I can offer as a service. So feel free to just reach out to us, and you can connect with us on social media. We're we've got a Facebook page, facebook.com/VAClassroom, or that's the same with twitter.com/VAClassroom, @VAClassroom. So yeah, so we're all over social media as well.
Great. Well, I know you've got to scoot. You've got another meeting back to back. So
yes.
we greatly appreciate it, Craig.
Yeah,
yeah, thanks for the time. Nice to connect with you both. We'll definitely talk with you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
And thank you to our audience. Again, this is VA to VA. We appreciate you being with us today. And Nanette, close us off.
Well, there's not much to say except keep learning.
That's right. Absolutely. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.